Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Hedera and HBAR. So let's just dive in and let's start off with the first thing that I do want to address, which is the token unlock on June 1st. So we do see over 1 billion Hedera tokens will be unlocked on June 1st. Now, as we do look at this, a lot of people are probably going to say, well, the price is going to drop, right? Today, if we actually go over to Hedera, I've been watching the overall price chart for a little bit of time now, and I've been addressing one little area. So if we go back to the yearly span, so this goes all the way back to roughly the summer of 2022, we have the little bottom here from the end of December. As we look at HBAR today, yes, it has broken down to about roughly 5 cents, but this 5-cent zone is really nothing too concerning to me. I've been watching around this area like about 6 cents or so to see if we are going to regain it, but for the most part I'm looking at a possible retest of about like 4.5 cents or so. Anything under 5 cents is an instant buy to me for HBAR for the long term. Obviously don't over leverage yourself or anything like that, you know, it's making you stay up at night thinking about your investment or anything like that. But you know, for the most part, I bought this whole range back here during 2022, or the summer of 2022 I should say, around like 6 cents all the way up to about like, I think it was like 9 cents or something like that. I was buying pretty heavy because, you know, I do expect HBAR to go to $1 plus. I mean, if you're sitting here thinking, oh, I don't know if I should be buying HBAR, you know, at 5 cents, like, do you not realize how large Hedera has become, like in the last couple months alone? Like, Hedera is absolutely going parabolic in terms of network growth as well as network demand. I mean, to me personally, like HBAR is a $1 plus token at least. I've talked about $3 to, you know, $6 on how big HBAR will be at some point in time. Obviously, this is a very long-term bag of mine. Like, I do think that Hedera could ultimately, you know, outcompete ADA and many other tokens in the space ROI-wise, and I do think that Hedera could ultimately hit $100 billion plus in market cap. And these token unlocks, like a lot of people look at these token unlocks as a very negative thing on price action, but you got to remember that these token unlocks are distribution. So it's getting distributed to the public. It's not getting dumped on the public. And when we look at that, like, you know, I'm still focused on the circulating supply and the total supply. Like this 50 billion HBAR supply is nothing too concerning because at, we'll say $2, right? At $2, it has a market cap of $100 billion. That is nothing compared to some of these other tokens that have hit $100 billion plus in market cap. Like $2 on one HBAR is incredible ROI if you are buying at 5 cents. And to me, $2 is highly likely as a possibility for HBAR to go to. And I do expect higher price action, but hey, I'm fine with $2 if that is the case. But as we look at Hedera today, yeah, everyone is focused on the token unlocks. They're you know, focused on the tokenomics themselves. I don't really think the tokenomics are that bad. And, you know, these token unlocks, yeah, do they come at bad times? Sure, they do. But do they also give us great opportunities? 100%. Even during, you know, the beginning of 2021, we've seen token unlocks and look at where the price action went to. So, you know, to me, I don't really think it's that big of an event, but hey, if you want to prepare for a possible, you know, lower buy, then go ahead, be my guest. Because again, like I've said, you got to prepare for anything in this market. You got to always have, you know, stable coins on the sidelines waiting to buy the dip if we are going to see a dip. And currently speaking, as we go all the way back to that summer of 2022 and we look at the price range here, you know, this area that we're looking at is basically this area here during 2020 as well. I do think that we will see price expansion, and that price expansion, if you will be buying this dip and if you've been accumulating HBAR, you are going to be very, very excited about that expansion. Now, with all that in mind, let's talk about a few things. So shout out to Zepsi over here. We do see a big week for Karate Combat and the Hedera ecosystem. 542 plus million transactions, up about 5.36%. And 155,000 plus mainnet accounts, up 90, almost 2%. Welcome to all the new HBARbarians and members of the HBAR community. And yeah, I mean, this has been a wild ride. I mean, the transaction flow, the account flow, like we are seeing some incredible growth, and this is just the beginning. I've talked about this many times with Hedera, like what we are seeing today in terms of network demand and network growth is only just the beginning on where Hedera is expected to, go to within the next couple of years. I mean, this is off of one enterprise use case. And we do see over here, since Atma went live just over 4 months ago, the Hedera mainnet has processed over 6.3. Let me reiterate that. 6.3 billion real-world transactions. With new use cases continually starting, we have seen TPS climb and stay above 1,000. Enterprise adoption is happening. HBARbarians know, but just to be clear, Hedera does not use consensus voting. It's why the network is so green. So these numbers each represent something of value in the real world. Hedera also provides absolute mathematical finality and fast. And I mean, if we look at the transactions today, it's just under 1,000 TPS, which is totally fine with me. I do expect us to hit 10 billion transactions by, I would say, the end of the month. I mean, it could happen a lot sooner, but I mean, we've been seeing these transactions going absolutely parabolic. Here we have 9 billion transactions, 13 days, 1 billion transactions. So in less than 2 weeks, which is why I said, like, at the end of the month, we will most likely see 10 billion transactions. But yeah, I mean, 1 billion in less than 2 weeks is wild. Hashgraph technology is setting the pace for Web3 scalability, driven by our incredible community and real-world applications and utility. Ready for 10? It may be closer than you think. And, right now, I will say, I agree with this tweet here from 10_41. We do see Hedera is outperforming every other platform in existence right now in terms of actual transactions being recorded on the mainnet. This is with only one enterprise use case. It may be more now. Imagine when thousands of companies are transacting on Hedera. Like, this is where, we are headed. But what's crazier about all of this, right, is if we go over to Metrica and we go to the year to date, we have processed about almost 6.5 billion transactions this year alone. Our max TPS was sitting at about roughly 8.5K. The average TPS is about 555. And as we do look down here at the accounts are going parabolic, literally parabolic. 952,000 created accounts this year, 600 and almost 20,000 active accounts, total accounts sitting just over 4 million. What's wild about all of these transactions and about all of these, major statistics is the fact that I still think Hedera is being ignored. If we actually look at Hedera today compared to, even 2021, I still believe that we are so early. Like, during 2021, I still thought that, like, so many people were ignoring, what Hedera was doing. I still think that's the same case today. Like, if we look at Hedera, they almost have 300,000 followers. That's pretty significant, right? But when we compare it to other projects, not just follower-wise, like, I'm not even focused on followers here. I'm just saying, they almost have 300,000 followers. But, like, when we look at Hedera today, and when we look at some of the top tier, projects, I still believe that Hedera is getting tossed to the side. I still think that a lot of people are still ignoring what Hedera is accomplishing. And these accomplishments, like, although, yeah, like, these are very large, most people are still asking themselves, why is the price not going up? Why is the price not, significantly rising? I want you all to understand that it also goes by that fee base. Like, Hedera has extremely low fees. So these transactions, although there's a lot of them, it's not creating a massive amount of value. But that should get you all excited for the future to come around Hedera. But again, I've said it many times. I know that you guys hate me comparing it to ADA or any of these other tokens, but when we look at some of these other tokens, like, I remember Matic. Matic was one of my biggest winners during 2021. Very similar to even, there's a few other ones. There was Matic, there's the Graph, and there's Telcoin. There's a few other ones as well within there, but for the most part, almost all of my big winners, I remember specifically around Matic. Matic was one that I utilized as an example during all of, like, 2022. And even I still do it today, because during 2021, I almost sold my Matic before this run up. It was during this time right here. Everyone got tired of it because they seen other projects going parabolic during this time. And I almost sold. I almost sold at the bottom here. I think it was like around like 35 cents, 40 cents or somewhere within that range. I almost sold. because all I kept hearing was how Matic was dead. There was nothing happening with Matic. It was a goner. Then all of a sudden, boom, skyrocketed in value. And then everyone started talking about it. During this time, like, nobody was really talking about Matic all that much. It started to get a lot of publicity once it started to kind of break out here at the beginning of the year. But, you know, again, Matic was one of those tokens that a lot of people were ignoring early on. And then they started to look at it more and more as it did gain a ton of value. I look at that the same way as Hedera. Like right now, a lot of people are still ignoring it due to price action. You know, I remember the argument during 2021, how it didn't perform as well as other tokens and how, you know, HBAR only did this many X's while these other projects did this many X's. Like everyone is always focused on the price action. They're not focused on the actual use here. When we look at Hedera, they continue to expand. Every single day, there's a new use case going live on Hedera, or the HBAR Foundation's announcing another project that's coming over to build on Hedera. This is constantly happening. We do see here real financial disruption is happening on Hedera. Shout out to HBAR to the moon. Diamonds are a $1.2 trillion market, and $50 million have already been tokenized on Hedera through Diamond Standard. Gold standardization or gold tokenization is next. Trillions of dollars of value is going to flow into Hedera in the coming years. And I do believe so as well. And as we do look here, like we chose to build on Hedera because its speed, security, and transparency were essential to our vision of democratizing access to diamonds as an asset class. Hedera will enable Diamond Standard to offer investors unprecedented transparency and liquidity. As we look at like what's happening here around Hedera, like, you know, to me, this is going to be a staple project. What do I mean by that? Well, when we actually go over here back to CoinMarketCap, when we look at like the top 10 or the top 20, you know, some of these projects have been around for well over a decade now. XRP is a perfect one to mention. XRP has been around forever. Litecoin around forever. Some of these other projects, yeah, maybe they're not around as long, but you know, a lot of them are still staple pieces. Like even Ethereum. Ethereum has been around for well over, I think, like 8 years now. So if we look at a lot of these projects, like they are staple pieces within this market. And what makes them that is the overall use of them. There's a lot of utility here. There's a lot of network growth and also a lot of network demand. When we look at Hedera, you look at the GC, you look at some of these projects going live like Diamond Standard, these tell me that Hedera is going to be around for a very long time. Why do I believe so? Well, it's not just the names tied to the GC. It's not just how Hedera has been expanding within, you know, the US as well, talking about, you know, focusing on regulations, working with some of the top tier names around regulations, but it's also what Hedera has accomplished in the short amount of time that we've been focused on it. Yeah, it's been about roughly 2 years now, like 2.5 years. But the reason why I've been focused on Hedera so much is because of how fast they have been expanding. Although, yes, price action has not caught up to it, I still believe that, you know, when we look at the price action, it will catch up once we see individuals actually take notice on what's happening with Hedera. That's the benefit of being an early visionary around some of these tokens. When we look at XRP, you know, I've been hearing so much nonsense about XRP for so long, but if you actually look within things and do the research and understand the connections being built out, you know, you will understand how early you are. The same goes for Hedera. Like to me personally, when I look at Hedera, when I look at some of these, you know, use cases and I look at the power and the potential of, you know, Hedera and the overall standard behind it, like I see a very large future for Hedera where, you know, it's not 1,000 TPS, where it's not 10,000 TPS, but 100,000 TPS, or even maybe at some point in time, 1,000,000 TPS. That's a future where that's how I look at Hedera. Like I do believe that that future is going to happen. It's going to take time, obviously, but, you know, we're already hitting 1,000 TPS. And I remember 2 years ago, if somebody told me that we were going to be at 1,000 TPS 2 years later, I would have said no way. And I still believed in how large Hedera was going to be then. I just did not expect it to be at the point it is today. And again, like this is why I say things move very fast around this space. You know, we're almost at 10 billion TP or transactions on Hedera, and we're only doing 1,000 TPS right now. And we did 6.5 billion transactions this year alone. So think about it, you know, at 10,000 TPS, which could very well be a reality very soon, considering the fact that we already hit 8.5K TPS already this year. So, you know, with that, I really do see a very bright future for Hedera. I look at the price today. I don't really care about the price. You know, anything under 10 cents looks good to me. I just don't really care about getting in at the absolute bottom, because I know that the top for HBAR is going to be significantly higher than what it is today. And, you know, back in 2021, yeah, it might have underperformed. There was not as much substance at all for Hedera during that time. Now, there's a ton of substance. There's a lot of GCs. There's a lot of projects live on Hedera. There's a lot of projects being built out on Hedera. The community is expanding rapidly. There's events constantly from Hedera. You know, we do see these grants that are, you know, creating a major inflow of developers and projects to be built out on Hedera and go live. And we see enterprise use cases going live now. We see the network expanding rapidly. We see the network being utilized rapidly. It's only a matter of time until the price action catches up with it. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, to notifications on if you guys have more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As is up to you all, have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are on this. Before this has been Nick. Peace out, guys.